Hey girls, it is just about 7 o'clock on Thursday night before I head out for Brazil, and I thought that I would jump on here real quickly. I am using Zoom, and it's a communication platform that I have been using in my personal life, connecting with other pastors and some business meetings. And so I thought maybe I would record a quick video and possibly send you a couple of links to understand how we could maybe start meeting up online once a month and kind of going over some leadership notes. I would love to continue a conversation. I know a lot of us have been talking recently about how to just improve our communication, how to improve and grow in our leadership. And we've been exploring, even talking to each other about how to do this. And it's one of those areas that I think we all have the opportunity to really grow in. So tonight I'm going to give you a quick example of some of the things that I think would be great to talk about. We were at team night a few weeks ago, and some of you were there, some of you weren't. And I had a whole list of things put together, and a team leadership moment for me was I jumped on stage and I tried really hard to find my notes. They were right on my screen, but what I had done is I had signed in with the wrong Google Drive account. And so I was looking everywhere knowing that I had it there, but I was signed in. I have several accounts because my kids have used mine. So I had put it on one of the other accounts, and I just didn't even think to do that. And a leadership principle for me that I learned in the process, and I've known this before, but right in the middle of trying to find my notes, it was kind of deer in the headlights, and I did my very best to bring out what was inside of me for that night. But the leadership principle for me that I missed, that I hope all of us can do, if you ever find yourself in a place where you're leading and you are not prepared, you find yourself, you've lost your notes, you've done something, the very best thing to do is not tell the audience. And I made that mistake. So I just wanted to throw that out for you. That's bonus. So if you are leading in any way, and it causes people to stop listening when you tell them that you can't find your content or you didn't prepare or any of those things. And so that's something I've known for a long time, but right in the heat of the moment, I forgot. And instead of just being confident, I found myself backpedaling just for a couple of minutes until I caught myself and I, grabbed my bearings and spoke out what was in my heart. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you those notes right now. I'm going to let you know what I had prepared, and all of the things that I think through are a result of the way that I am resourcing myself. I love listening to podcasts on leadership, and I'm growing as a leader. And one of the things that I found for me is throughout a lifetime of leadership, there have been so many opportunities to grow as I go, and we all have that place of leadership to grow as we go. And I love that we're building this team together, Female Leadership, and some of you have received the book Female Leadership and by Katie Cole, and empowering female leaders around you. And that's a book that I'd love to get into in the future. And I know I think I was talking with Lamia about it, or I was, and I showed it to her, and she's given it out to several people. So I think that's something for us to look at in the future. But tonight, what I want to talk about is just a couple of things. The first thing as leaders that we are responsible for is culture. And culture isn't building upon one person, and it's not just one person's responsibility. It's the requirement of every single leader. In fact, it's the job of every single leader is to set and create culture. Culture is what is celebrated and repeated. So we can say that we want to have a particular kind of culture, but unless we celebrate it and unless we repeat that same thing over and over, it's not actually culture. Culture is actually raising the atmosphere. So basically setting the atmosphere. I get to walk in and I get to raise the lid, so to speak, on the atmosphere. I get to bring enthusiasm, bring excitement. And as leaders, if we step into a moment and we are kind of just not feeling it, people around us are going to feel that as well. And so that's something that's important. One myth when it comes to culture is that it's really easy for everybody else, but it's hard for me. But the truth is that every single one of us is making a sacrifice, and it's a huge commitment for every single one of us. And the sacrifice that we are having to give to create these moments of culture and to set our own hearts and bring enthusiasm to the table, don't worry, because it's not just you that feels as though sometimes you can't do it. We all have things that we're sacrificing in ways that we're pushing towards this. So don't worry, it's not that it is. It just may look like it's easy for other people, but every single one of us have hurdles to overcome in this. Serving others requires that you keep high trust levels by managing your tone. So setting the culture of a conversation or setting the culture of your team, it actually equals your tone. And I think it's really important to add this to the mix when we're building our the cultures of our team, how we approach our team members at church, for any kind of situation, any conversation, even text conversation. Tone is really important because it actually sets the culture, the atmosphere of even being able to go forward with a positive conversation or not. I've found for me that sometimes it's easier for me to not be able to read tone correctly using text. And so I really am working on trying to set as many face-to-face or even at least voice-to-voice meetings as possible so that we can get in on things. So culture is number one in creating leadership. Number two, leadership is a behavior, it's not a position. So leadership is not just a position that you're given, it's actually a behavior. It is, we say a lot, it's a lifestyle. Everyone is instinctive in their own area of giftedness. So the leadership that you have, it's instinctive. There's something inside of you that you naturally lean towards doing in your leadership. And so my challenge to us in this is to own the vision, own your own space, own what you know is your giftedness in the area that you can bring to the table, and then staff the people around you with, admit your weaknesses and bring other people onto your team where they can actually fill in some of the gaps for you that you might be missing. I think this is so important to build a strengths-based team, because again, it's a behavior. It's not a position. So as we bring our giftedness and who we are to the table, we find that we're able to create a beautiful team. I wrote this down. It says, vision doesn't stick without care and attention. We've talked about this earlier, but we need to celebrate the wins together, but we need to own the problems. So we need to celebrate as a team all of the issues and the things that are going on. But when we come to a crossroad and we find ourselves faced with an issue, instead of blaming people around us, we really need to own that issue. And the Bible says if we're at odds with somebody, we need to go directly to them. And so one of the principles in our leadership team is to always go to your direct report and talk to them about things when you're going through something. Obviously we have life giving friendships around us, and that's a safe place for you to be able to ask for wisdom and ask for just direction on things. And that's always a culture we want to build, but it's important for us to own our own place. And then we need to replace a critical spirit for an attitude of care. And I love this because we get to be the solution instead of just seeing something that's wrong. So when something's wrong, we need to maybe take a moment and empathize with that person or that situation and really care about the situation. It's so easy for us to see a problem and just want to fix it. And although, yes, we need to fix it, we need to care about the people involved as we're getting ready to do that. And all of us make these mistakes when we, make comments about something that needs to be changed. And we forget to care about the person who's put a lot of time and effort and thought into this. And that's something we can all work on. So, as we own the vision of the house, and we're working to create a culture that backs that up, and we're working to create a leadership team around us that is not just a position, but it's a behavior, it's on the inside of us, we can find ourselves living on mission. And I think I talked about this part live at the team meeting, but I wanted to ask this question: what is at stake at our church? The problem that we're addressing at City Life Church is people who are far from God. That's the problem in our world. People are far from God. So what will happen if we don't fulfill the vision? Well, obviously people are going to remain kind of like the Walking Dead. They're going to be walking around zombies. Those in our city and our lives, they'll remain broken. We'll have destroyed marriages, people living hopelessly or empty-hearted, empty-handed instead of open-handed. And kind of open hands, what we're doing in our group right now. But guess what? City Life Church, us as leaders, women, we are the solution to this. Our vision, our core values, our vision addresses this. By doing our job, by doing your job, we are affecting the people that walk into our church and the people that are in our lives, those who walk into our doors. Because of what we do, they're not going to remain far from God, and they won't miss out on a life-giving relationship with God, but they'll experience his full presence. And so we need to keep that at the forefront as we're owning the vision of what we're doing and why we're doing it. There is people's lives at stake. And so instead of just doing what we do, we need to understand, so how are we doing this? Every single one of us in our departments, we're setting culture, we're taking leadership, and we're using vision to inspire the people around us to fix this problem of people being distant from God. And how it flows is from every single department, from the parking lot, and then it goes to the front door, and then from the front door it goes to the lobby, and from there it goes to the cafe or to the kids. From there it flows upstairs to the cafe area that's upstairs, the sound, even the bathrooms, the culture that we set upstairs. And then as they walk into the sanctuary, the way they're greeted, the way that they're taken care of, the way they're noticed. From there, it goes right into worship, which melts every mountain and softens the heart for the word of God to find good ground for the word. And then the word comes and God ministers to their heart and speaks to them. And then we have prayer and connections and next steps and goodbyes and every pathway that we do of discipleship in small groups. And then guess what? All of these things create disciples. At least that's what our hope is, so that they wouldn't be far from God, so that eventually they would see people in their world who are far from God and bring their friends and create the same process again. So I'm going to close with this: 4 ways to keep the vision alive and accomplish our mission. Number 1, stay healthy. And we just did a whole series on this, but self-care is critical to success in life. Spiritual care is critical to your leadership abilities, enabling you to find the daily grace you need to be functioning in your grace zone, and it's your God assignment. So that's so important to stay healthy and know what your God assignment is for right now. We can get busy doing a lot, but we need to be really careful. So it's really critical to take time every single day to even understand our own motives for what we're doing, or our motives for what we're feeling, or even the way we're leading, because this it controls what goes on. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control our reactions to it, right? So we need to understand our own motives, and we need to process our experiences, and we need to make sure that our reactions are in alignment with building people up rather than tearing people down. So stay healthy. Number 2, stay learning. As a leader, we've challenged each other personally, and we're going to continue to do that. There's a big difference between a know-it-all and a learn-it-all. I want to challenge you to, instead of being the one who always walks into the room with the answer, to be somebody who is always looking to learn something every time you're in a situation. Once we think we're a leader, sometimes we make the mistake of feeling like we need to give all the advice. But a true leader never stops learning about their craft. They're always looking for ways to build their skill and to surround themselves with other people who are have done it before them, and to learn from somebody, ask questions, and add those answers to your life. So that's really, really important. So we are going to stay healthy, stay learning, and then we're going to stay excited. You know, this one can be the hardest one, because our ministries, again, we talked about earlier, as we're building the culture, that it sometimes takes a lot out of us. And as we are learning to stay excited, this is what I found. Motivation isn't taught or caught. It's something that you push yourself to do. Motivation is not something that just naturally happens. It's something that you push yourself to do. It's kind of like going to exercise. Most of us are not motivated to go. We want the results, but we are not motivated to do it. So how do we get to that place? We push ourselves to that place. We make a plan for that. We calendarize. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Here's the thing. If we are mediocre, that equals decline. So any place that we're feeling mediocre, or we're just kind of whatever about, that's a place of decline for our ministry. And we need to really be important, making that a red flag for us. Our attitude, if our attitude is so about our own place on the line, about our leadership, about the place God has given us to tend, then guess what? Our team is declining, and our authority is also declining. So we need to focus and lock in every single day. It's kind of like the Warriors. We're going to, when they're getting ready to plan and prepare for a game, they call it locked in. We need to lock in every day on what God has given us to do, and give our talents to the organization of the team. And guess what? When we lock in and when we give all that we are to what we're trying to build, growth will naturally happen. It will happen when we stay excited. It really will. I've said this and you've heard this a couple times, but we don't join a movement. People are moving. We need to be the move. Don't just go with the flow, but plan your focus. Crush the day. Crush the experience. So we can be motivated, and the way to stay motivated is not, like I said, don't just go with the flow, but plan it. So we can plan our days. We need to stay connected, and we need to plan to stay connected. The next one, so we're going to stay healthy, stay learning, stay excited. And the last one here is to stay connected. And this is probably one of the most important ones. We need to, every day, we need to plan our week. We need to plan tomorrow, plan our priorities. We need to calendarize our time at City Life, your team, your connections to people, the way that you're growing. The only way to do this is to define your no's, because there's so many things we can say yes to, but you need to stabilize your yes. Know that certain things on your calendar you're never going to change, and most of us are in that place of maturity where we are we know exactly what we're not questioning whether or not we're going to go to church this Sunday, or we're not questioning or not whether or not we're going to be involved in small groups, or serve the Lord today, or spend time with Jesus today. But we do need to define our no's. We need to know for sure the things that we're not going to do. So nothing is going to take the place of my Sundays. Except a vacation, which I'm getting ready to go on, or ministry opportunities. So we need to create margin for what's important. And, naturally, all of us create margin for what's important. Take a look at what you've been doing. That's what's the most important to you. So let's create margin for our vision and for the unexpected. And because we can do these things, I believe that God's going to allow us to reproduce disciples, reproduce leaders, reproduce people on our team. So one of the things I would love to do is take some content like this, break it down, and begin to talk a little bit about some of the pros and cons of things that we're involved in. And these are leadership things. We need to set the culture and believe that God is going to fill in the rest. So anyway, I can't wait to set up a few more meetings with you. And when I come back, I have a whole leadership plan put together for us to be able to meet together online, and possibly once a quarter in person as well. So I love you guys, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.